Number 19. The city water department reported that the average amount of water used per household each month in the last year was 1,000 cubic feet. Employees from the department randomly sampled 50 homes in the community and reviewed the water bills for a recent month. Which of the following would most likely be true of the water consumption of the 50 households? So to illustrate this, or to try to, I'm going to draw a visual diagram of this problem. And I'm going to let this represent the households that were sampled. So they tell me that the average amount of water used was 1,000 cubic feet of water. So that means that some houses were more than that and some houses were less than that. But the overall average was 1,000 cubic feet. You have some houses down here who maybe used 500 cubic feet, and maybe some up here that used 4,000 cubic feet. But the overall average was 1,000 cubic feet for these 50 homes. So if you randomly pick 50 homes, what is most likely going to be true, statistically speaking? Very few times in statistics will you use the word exactly. And here's an example of this in another sense. When I was in school and I was learning how to testify in court about statistical things. For example, there was a case recently in Idaho where a suspect confessed eventually to killing 4 people. They found his DNA at the scene, and the odds were 1, I believe, in 27 trillion maybe, that was his DNA. There's one person in 27 trillion that has that DNA. There are not that many people on the planet. But you still cannot say exactly. You cannot say for certain that that is his DNA. Statistics are not an exact science, so you want to always be careful with the word exactly. Answer A says each household will have used exactly 1,000 cubic feet. Is it possible that that's true? Absolutely, it's possible. But is it likely? The odds are so tiny that that would be the case. It's not impossible, but it is definitely not likely. So anytime you see the word exactly in a statistical situation, whether it be DNA or this problem or anything related to statistic certainty, be careful. That is probably not your answer. And in this case, it is not. That could possibly happen, would be extremely unlikely, and it is not the best answer in this case. Each household will have used at least 1,000 cubic feet. Well, that would mean that we're looking at this type of situation where this is the lowest possible point and everybody used more than 1,000 cubic feet. If that were the case, 1,000 would not be the average. It would be the lowest point, and something up here would be the highest point, so the average would be somewhere in here. So this is not the answer we want either. Each household will use at most 1,000 cubic feet. So in that case, the 1,000 would be the high end, and this would be the low end. The average would be somewhere in there. So this is not the answer that I'm looking for. 25 of the households will have used more than 1,000 cubic feet, and 25 of the households will have used less than 1,000 cubic feet. Okay, so that's feeling more like what I'm looking at here. That half of the households, remember there are 50, so half of them would go this way and half of them would go this way. That one is feeling like what I'm looking for. But let's look at E as in echo. 25 of the households will have used exactly, there's that word again. I don't like that in a statistical problem. Exactly 1,000 cubic feet, and 25 will have used either more or less than 1,000 cubic feet. Again, I don't like the word exactly, not in a statistical situation. So I'm going to go with D. That is indeed the answer. That half of the households would probably be above and half would be below, but they would average out or round out to that 1,000. So your answer for 19 is D as in Delta.